Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei, and we're going to do another page in our watercolor journals. Today we're going to do some simple flowers with lots of transparency and layers, and just have a really good time. Easy, simple, great for beginners. So let's get started. I am working in my 6x9 bow hung watercolor journal. This is 140-pound cold pressed paper, 100% cotton in this particular journal. I have an extra butcher tray here for mixing colors. I'm using my Core QOR by Golden mini palette. That's this one. Links to supplies and materials are in the description of this video if you ever want to learn more about the supplies and materials that I use. And also I have a couple of brushes. I just have a size 10 and a size 3 Velvet Touch brush and an Aqua Elite round brush. I tend to focus on using fewer brushes and keeping it simple. Okay, so let's get started with some beautiful layered large petal flowers. Maybe something reminiscent of, I don't know, like a peony or cosmos, or I don't know. It's just going to be a flower. So I'm taking out Quinacridone Magenta. I'm just going to paint a couple here. I'm just in the mood to kind of float my way through this page. Okay, let's see. We are going to start with a really light Quinacridone Magenta here. Make a darker color over here. But I'm going to start really, really light and just create some big fluffy petals. In the back here, kind of falling apart a little bit. Magnolia-like, I guess, if you have magnolias. Do one that's kind of falling down this way. This is going to be the center here. So kind of some petals that you see out the back. And I'm going to do something similar, I think, with some purple. There's some Diarylide or Dioxazine purple in here. Same thing, really light. And I'll make this one kind of facing this way. Using the whole, so I'm pressing down my whole brush, using the whole belly of the brush, as it's called. And then we'll do a petal that kind of falls down this way. So really physically getting into this painting and being a little more intuitive. I don't know if anybody else out there ever feels like that, like they're not ready to be restrained or delicate. They need to like feel that paintbrush moving. All right, so dropping a little more color in there. I'm gonna move back to the pink. And I'm gonna put a petal over top here. I'm gonna try to force some really sharp edges on this petal. So what I did was I added a bunch of water to this. So there's almost like a droplet of water in there, and I'm going to let it dry, and I'm hoping the water is going to continue to push this color to the edge. A lot of folks try to avoid that when painting, but I'm going to force some of those, I think. All right, I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to get into my sap green and a little bit of my bismuth yellow. I'm going to clean it off here. So this is a bismuth yellow. We'll pull some of that over here. My sap green over that over there. And I'll even take some Payne's gray that I might mix with the sap green. So while these are drying, I'm going to add in a bit of a yellow center right here. And then pull this tiny, delicate little stem down. I think I'm going to create a little bud over here. And same thing over here. Let's put in I like the juxtaposition of these really heavy tops, even though they're big, so they look like they might be a little heavy, but also they're very transparent. We're going to add some more layers onto them, but they have these transparent feel, and it's a really interesting juxtaposition to this really tiny stem, which should not, in reality, be able to hold up the weight of these flowers. Or can it? Because the petals are so light, but they're so large and dense. So it's interesting. It gives it a whimsical nature, like, I don't know if this could actually happen in real life. I'm going to make this purple, but I'm going to add a little bit of this yellow to it. It's just a little too bright of a purple, I think. Or maybe it's not. All right. So again, I'm going to put on another petal here. Do something here. I'm going to add water to these. I just picked up straight Dioxazine purple from the palette and added it ever so slightly to these edges. And just threw a big puddle of water in there. And I just want to see what it does. Experimentation. I am going to add a little bit of this green to here to give it just a little more of a red versus pink hue. A little more brick burgundy. Again, same thing. I'm going to throw a droplet of water in the center of these. Now you should let these dry. I'm going to let mine dry. They have lots of puddles of water on there. And we'll come back and add on some more layers in a few minutes. These are going to take a while to dry for sure because they got a lot going on there. Just going to drop in some darker green. Right along the edge of that for some contrast. All right, let things dry, come back in a moment. I do not like this harsh line here, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it other than add a little more paint and a touch more water. Okay, let's let it dry. All right, we're back. Everything is dry, and we're going to move on to one more layer, I think. Definitely on this one, we're going to create another layer of petal over here. Go pretty dark, I think, in the center here. One down here. Definitely throwing some extra water on there. And I'm thinking about background for these, like if I should do some type of like loose background. I have my my space heater running in here, and I feel like it's making everything dry so much faster than it normally would. Lovely. I love how each layer has a little bit of transparency, and it really makes these look super delicate. And I think last, just pulling out some of these globs of water. All right, and I think I am going to add some like background to this in just some big swashes of color, and I can always repaint my stem on the front of it. I do want some more green. Add a little blue to it. I'm not going to do the whole background, just a few. Picked up some purple somewhere. Definitely going to put the background on first. But I don't think so. I think this method will work just fine. Come up in here, put some All right, I'm going to let that dry. I'm not going to go all the way around with it. I'm going to dry this with my dryer, my heat tool, and then I'm going to come back and put some darker details back on the stem over top of it, and a few other things in a few other places to make it pop. All right, all dry. Take some Payne's gray in my green. And I did say I was going to do, oh, that's still a little, it's not all dry. A little damp there, but you know what? I think it works. So I'm using some darker colors on top of this background to kind of pull these flowers forward a little bit. I'm going to do a little splatter on here. Some people hate that. I love this little spot that I've got here that's not intentional. All right, I said I was going to put like a little bud down here, so let's do that. And let's do a few things up above. Put a little bud up here. And I'm going to add a few more flicks of green, this dark green down here, kind of around the stems. And we'll do a little splatter. But I'm going to tilt my book, trying not to splatter it on directly on the petals. And now I'm going to take some just clean water. There we go. Trying to get it to run a little bit. And a little purple. I'm just putting clean water on it just to organically kind of loosen up some of those splatter areas. All right, I'm gonna let it dry this way and then we'll come back and see what we have. All right, we're back and we're all dry, and here is our loose, fun little flower painting. I always enjoy these where you can just really physically kind of get into it, splatter, play, and have fun. I hope you enjoyed this one too. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend who you might think also would enjoy this watercolor journey. Check out the description for links to supplies and materials, and I will see you for the next watercolor journal page very soon.